Scarecrow Hour. The Scarecrow Hour. Yeehaw! Starring none other than Random Ninja Mouse, Random Ninja Jane, and also Uncle, who's your uncle, Uncle Sam. Random Ninja James and Uncle Sam are here for your viewing pleasure. We are so glad you made it. Thank you for joining us on the Scarecrow Hour. Brought to you by Uncle Sam Presents.com. Now let's talk about Tombstone.
Yeah, sure. All right. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Scarecrow Hours, Tombstone.
Tombstone.
We are live in Tombstone right now. We are in front of the OK Corral, if you will.
Is it the Oriental? Maybe it's the Oriental.
Oriental.
We're right in front of the Oriental today, just like we were last week.
Yes, we were. We forgot to tell you that. We've decided that the Scarecrow Dojo is wherever we go.
Wherever we go.
Yeah, if we're there and we're wearing, even if we're not wearing the headphones, but we got the mics and talking to each other about movies, that's the Scarecrow Dojo.
You see, we've got Scarecrow Hour stickers on our microphones.
So it's official.
You know, there you go.
So we spent our entire budget to fly down here to Tombstone, Arizona. I was like Tucson, Arizona. Tombstone. Went to the cemetery to see a tombstone, and we are there now. And it is a beautiful weather. People say it's hot in Arizona. I think it feels great out here. Quit playing with the guitar.
Sorry.
That could belong to somebody.
I was picking the guitar.
Yeah, anyway. Thank you for suspending disbelief on that one for us. But no, so we are getting into Tombstone. Last time we talked about the cast.
Such a great cast.
Star-studded.
Absolutely. A whole hour of just talking about the cast. And I think we constricted that very much so. So
we chose our spots.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, and there were things that like we could have probably just covered the whole movie just by talking about the characters and scenes from this movie.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
But it'd be hard to kind of keep it all in order.
Well, let's keep it in order, man. Let's start with the beginning.
Start with the beginning. Okay. So it starts off with a vintage film reel.
Yes, it does.
You know, and did you know that it wasn't actual vintage?
It wasn't real?
It wasn't an actual film reel. It wasn't a real one.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I didn't think it was, but I didn't know it wasn't.
Okay. Well,
was it supposed to be?
I always thought it was.
Was there rumor and speculation that was real?
I just assumed that there was like a Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer lookalike, from the 1800s. So.
Well, sure. No. This was we have established this was filmed in '93. I thought it was 1800s, but
it's close.
Didn't check out.
So close. But yeah. Anyways, so you get an introduction to Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, and wouldn't you like to see more of just like before Tombstone?
Oh gosh,
Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, like the adventures between them two.
Dude, I could tell you a little bit about that, which was and I'd already decided going into this movie I wasn't going to give a history lesson about Tombstone. We're talking about the movie. We're not talking about the history, and there are liberties taken with the timeline, like with most true stories, to make it entertaining. And there's a few things here and there, and some things line up like crazy though.
Yeah,
you wouldn't believe, but like. So I lost my thought. It was a really good one. It was a really good one.
Tombstone.
History of Tombstone.
Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp.
Oh yeah, well, what I was going to tell you. So Doc Holliday, part of the road that led him to Tombstone was he's a doctor because he's a dentist, right? Yeah. He's a dentist in Dallas.
Okay.
Until he got in a little shootout, a couple times, and he got ran out of Dallas.
Okay.
And guess where he went? He went to this little lawless town called Jacksboro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was there for about 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, and until he got in a little gunfight, killed a soldier from, what is it, Fort Griffin right there?
Fort Griffin is towards Albany.
Fort Richardson.
Fort Richardson.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, shout out Tater. He works at Fort Griffin.
Yeah.
And then he kind of had to go on the run from there. Okay. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool to think that Doc Holliday lived in Jacksboro for a while. Yeah, I didn't know that.
For those of you that don't know, that's only like 30 miles.
Yeah, that's over there. Is it? That way?
That way.
It's that way.
I think it's still that way.
380?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's over that way. You can go you can go Jacksboro via Fort Worth, or Fort Worth via Jacksboro.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. That's just anytime it mentions something in our area, you know.
Dude, I understand about being run out of Jacksboro. No, I didn't go to jail there, but close. My son was born there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
for real.
that.
Yeah.
Well, we had our kids over at Mineral Wells.
Yeah.
It was good for that. No, I lived in Jacksboro for a short time. When I moved from Shiner to Jacksboro for a little bit in 3rd grade, then to Graham. And not much to it, Jacksboro.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, I had
really.
some good memories there. Saw some good movies on VHS and whatnot, but that's it.
Well, if you turn right, you pretty much miss everything in the town, what little bit there is.
Yeah, Dairyland closed
So-
down. You heard that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they closed it down. But anyway, this is not the Jacksboro show. But Doc Holliday was there. I would love to find out more about that, like maybe where he stayed or whatever. Who knows?
So I've got the Adventures of Wyatt and Doc. Not your normal lawman, not your normal dentist.
I want to see him go through dental school and stuff, like a young Doc Holliday struggling to but like I'm sure, but make it like modern day business or dentist school, where like these teachers and all that, and have somebody doing like a Val Kilmer impersonation the whole time. Are you ready for your test? Say when. I'm gonna have to go ahead and pass you, I guess. Will you, Daisy? If you do. Anyway, we'll try to limit our quoting of this movie for the scenes.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah, again, this is a thing. A lot of these characters in this movie, I would love to see more of.
Yes.
I'd love to see backstories. I'd love to see where some of them go. It's just it's too bad that.
Yeah, and there's places in the movie where it kind of jumps around a little bit, especially there towards the end. It's like I would like to see it.
Yeah. No, there's definitely
Filled
some
in,
time jumping. This is not one of those movies that takes place in one day by any means.
Oh gosh, no.
No, this takes place over a spread of time, if you will.
Also in this not real vintage film, you also get an introduction to the cowboys and their mafia style of outlaw rustling and things of that nature.
Which the Cowboys, they were real, but they were a little bit more loose than this movie portrays them. Like it was like a loose affiliation, like Ike and what was their last names?
The
like,
Clantons
and
like
McClarys. Yeah, they were gangs that happen to be cowboys also. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
like they're gangs within the gang. So it's kind of like we're cowboys, but this is our clique. Like kind of like
like a mafia type, like a not.
Well, I was thinking like, like
that.
Crips 3rd Street or something, like that.
Yeah, okay, so you've got like the big gang, but then you have the little gangs within
Yeah.
the gang that all fall under the umbrella of the
Yeah.
name of.
So that's
okay.
kind of how it worked. But talking about this intro and the information we're getting from a narrator.
Yes.
Right. You know who that narrator is?
I forgot.
The legendary Western actor Robert Mitchell.
Robert Mitchell.
Yes, dude.
What was he in?
El Dorado with John
Okay.
Wayne, Scrooged. He was the old man in Scrooge, that
really?
the boss that's like you need my cat watches stuff. So what are you doing, man? Yeah, Robert Mitchell, dude. Legend. Again, another one he was actually supposed to have, I believe he was supposed to have a role in the film. But he got hurt or sick or something, so it just kind of got knocked down to him being the you know what? I think he was going to be Sheriff White.
Oh, really?
I think.
Fred White?
Fred White, yeah. I think he was going to be Fred White, which is funny about that because the real Fred White was like 30.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. But again, we'll get to all that. But I believe he was going to play him, and the actor that played Fred White was playing the stagecoach driver. Okay. And then they were like, "Oh, we need you to be him," and of course, yeah, why not?
Okay, yeah, much bigger role.
Much bigger role. Very memorable role. Yeah. Cowboys.
Excuse me. And so, okay, yeah. After we have this little reel, we have the Cowboys right into a little Mexican town.
This scene really sets the tone.
Yes.
For who the Cowboys are.
Yes.
Dark scene, man.
Yeah, they roll up and
a wedding.
Dude, first you see the boots from Johnny Ringo, and then you see shells just being loaded into guns. And so it's like, oh, nothing good's going to come from this. And in the middle of this group of cowboys, you have Powers Boothe and Michael Rooker. They're both right in the center of it. Like I said, Rooker's...
Yeah, and I really like him in this scene.
He's scattered throughout it the whole time. Can because you have them in the middle and you have everyone surrounding, and then of course you have Ringo all the way in the back, and Ringo kind of stays out of all of it until he doesn't shoot anybody during that whole scene.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's because there really wasn't a threat there. Like maybe Ringo's, I don't know. Like even though Ringo will just murder somebody, maybe it's more like that's no fun,
right?
Like
There's
let
no
them do that.
challenge
There's out for blood, but he wants his own life to be on the line too.
Yeah, the stakes weren't high enough,
right? So he's like, let them do it and handle the light work. And then the Cowboys, they roll in here and they're like, you killed
two cowboys.
You killed two cowboys. Now, who are they there for? Really? Are they there for the groom? Is he one of the guys? Because it's the other.
I think it's the other guy.
The guest. But so I was wondering if maybe he wasn't one of them, and this is just his wedding day, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of got the impression it was one of those guests. It was someone in that group of people had done it, and then.
Right.
Okay. Well,
so,
they're all here together for this.
Because it feels like initially they were there just to target those guys.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna kill y'all for killing our dudes.
Yeah.
But then of course things go the way it was, and he's like, get this guy on his knees, and not to jump here or anything. Like that.
No, it's all right. Yeah, because he starts laughing. It says he laughs, and then they just start blasting away. Actually. Everyone except Ringo. Then everyone's dead except the priest, the bride, and the groom.
Right.
Those are the only three that are left standing.
Which makes me think the people they killed were the initial target.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe these people live, whatever.
Well, yeah, and then it just kind of shows the depravity of these cowboys as to what goes on after that, because they've already killed who they came to kill, if that's who they came to kill. That's already done. So they could just leave, and revenge is taken care of.
Yeah, and then the guy, they say something like he won't get on his knees, he's very proud. And then they're like, get him on his knees. So I guess if he would have bowed, maybe they would have killed him anyway, but maybe they would have been like, yeah, that's right. Go tell everybody Cowboys run stuff, But they do kill him, know? And then it's a real, indicates some darkness.
Well, then the priest starts talking to everybody in Spanish, and the guy's trying to translate the Spanish, and he's not doing a good job of it. He's talking about some sick stick horse.
Yeah, he's sick horse. It doesn't make any sense.
Horse, and so Billy turns to actually almost everybody turns to Ringo, kind of like, what is he saying?
Because he's like, the great line is like, your Spanish is worse than your English, and then it cuts to his face real quick where he's kind of like, yeah.
And all right, that guy, that Mexican guy. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. But he has the worst
Indian Charlie
mustache in the entire movie. Yeah, they're just sitting right there on the edge of his, like, just tiny little. I mean, I don't know. Okay,
that actor though. Speaking of, we were talking about The Wire a while ago. He's on season 2 of The Wire. He's the Greek.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's totally him. Yeah, but we also missed right. They dragged the dude's bride off.
Well, first, because then after he says your Spanish is worse than your English, that's whenever the bride gets dragged into the church by the guys, and McMaster's just looks at him.
That's where I'm saying like, that this whole scene, like they go sit down to eat, he doesn't eat. He's just sitting there staring like, really, this is what we're about.
Yeah,
which is right there. Which of course, my first 50 times watching this, I didn't notice that.
Right.
It's later on being more appreciative of Michael Rooker, knowing that this guy, at this point now, I know this guy. Well, if he's in here, watch what he does, because he's probably got.
Because not to jump ahead, but after what happens, and you want to look back and see, well, was he really different through the whole thing? And
yeah, absolutely. You can tell he's not into it.
Yeah. And that's whenever they go and they sit down at the marriage supper.
And it's in there.
They just start helping
the
themselves.
founder of the feast.
It's like, golly. And that's when the priest comes up.
Yeah, which they've spared him, because obviously there's some sort of etiquette here that, we don't kill a priest.
Right.
And the priest kind of knows that too, because he's yelling at him.
Yeah, he comes up to him, and of course that's when Ringo finally fires.
Ringo shoots him in the head because Ringo don't care.
Yeah, there's no etiquette there.
Hey, there's somebody for me to shoot, a priest that won't shut up.
Right. And that's whenever they ask, what was that old priest jabbering about or whatever? And he says, behold, the pale horse with the man that sits on him. And it was death.
Dude.
And hell followed with him.
And he is so into it when he's like, death.
There's a very dark obsession with death in the eyes of John Ringo.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to what Doc says about him later.
I agree.
which, I mean, and that's cool because, like, obviously how great and cool of a character Doc Holliday is in it. This is the other end of the spectrum is Johnny Ringo. He's like the villainous version, of the Top Gun, no pun intended. But, as I said that, I made the connection, it's like, which, it's like, who are these two really is the best? We will find out.
Then it cuts to Train 5150.
Okay, great. So big shift in tone. Big shift in tone right here.
Big time.
Because we just go from this dark, like, bad thing, which is still like, it wasn't scary or anything, but it was bad. And then now suddenly it's like hope, a new start.
Yeah, a fresh beginning.
Yes, with our heroes.
Then off steps Wyatt. Look at this mustache.
Look at that mustache.
It's just like prominent right then and there. Poof.
Yeah, no, he was late, but his mustache got there like 10 minutes ago.
You see the mustache, and then you notice Kurt Russell is behind the mustache.
And a reoccurring thing in this movie for a while is they're trying to recruit him.
Oh yeah, that's when the marshal comes up and he's like, "Nope,
no chance,
no chance.
Want to get rich?"
Nope.
And then he says a very real line. He's like, "Well, I've never met a rich man that had a clear conscience."
And he's like, "Well, I already got a
guilty conscience.
Might as well have the money too."
Yeah. Well, what about your mustache? Is it interested in the job?
He says, "I'm done. I did my duty. I'm retired." And that's when he does the guilty conscience.
Yeah. Yeah, which of course, that shows you exactly what Wyatt Earp's about. He's a reluctant hero at this point.
Yes,
he's done his service and stuff. And now he just wants to make money with his family.
Yeah, he's kind of like, all right, I've had enough of my stuff. I'm ready to do something different.
And he can go to Tombstone because he's Wyatt freaking Earp, and he's got his Earp brothers, and they ain't got to worry about nothing.
Right.
They're the baddest dudes around. So if they want to go live in a lawless type kind of area, they could do that.
Yeah, speaking of the brothers, this is when in walks the brothers Virgil and Morgan.
Uh-huh.
And they get to meet Maddie.
Yep.
And she's looking for them drugs.
She is, dude. She's on. What is it? What is that she's on, man? I'm into
Laudanum,
but what is that?
It's opium.
An opium? Okay. Yeah, dude. She's just got headaches, that's all.
Yeah, it's just headaches. Yeah, she looks like she's on heroin, which is essentially.
Yeah, which, dude, it's like some of the female characters in this movie you could just leave out. Like Maddie, you could have left her out. I mean, I know she's a real person, and I'm not taking anything away from the actor or her performance or anything like that. I'm just saying, as far as the story goes, as far as the love story, the underlying love story.
Yeah, it adds that level of drama, an extra level to it.
Even whenever the other love interest comes in, it's still like, okay, that's in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm taking nothing away from it. I'm just saying, like,
I could do without.
If I had to cut anything from this for my own enjoyment, it would be that, because it works without it.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I'm with you there in agreement. But if they weren't involved, then you wouldn't have that striking pose in the window of the Earps. And
oh, yeah, look at them. They could be sisters.
Then they start talking about each other, and they're reintroducing each other or whatever. And Wyatt says something about Doc Holliday and that he misses Doc. And says he makes me laugh.
I think this is also around the first time Morgan says "You're the one," Wyatt, because he says it a couple times in the movie. He says "You're the one."
You're right about that.
Yeah, you're the one, Wyatt. He even says it barely. You could barely hear him say it after they start working the word. You're the one before. Anyway, we'll get there.
And then very next scene is a poker table and a coin rolling between some slimy fingers.
Talk about the devil and the devil player.
There he is. He said, "Isn't that a daisy?"
Yeah.
Talking about whenever Ed Bailey and
Ed Bailey. Let's talk about Ed Bailey, man. Let's talk about this guy. And I love that he's like, well, if you didn't have those guns, you wouldn't be about nothing. Well, he gave the guns.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. Ed Bailey, you know who that actor is playing him?
He looks familiar.
He should look familiar. His brother's quite famous because this guy's name's Frank Stallone.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
that's the Sylvester Stallone connection to this film. And that's why when they were looking for a director, Sylvester Stallone's name was mentioned. Yeah. Okay. Because you got Frank Stallone.
Gotcha.
Never recognized him as Frank Stallone, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the only reason he looks kind of familiar is from some of those episodes of, like, 2.5 Men or something, where they have the the brothers, you
Yeah.
know, all the brothers of the famous
Right. Yeah.
celebrities.
Yeah. And that's
stuff
what
like
that's
that,
what Frank
you know?
Stallone's famous for is
Yeah.
for not being his
Not
brother.
being famous.
For not being his brother. Who are you? It's like Frank Stallone. I don't know. I'm not Sylvester. Oh, you're the one that's not Rocky. That's not Rambo. Yeah. Yeah. So how'd you get cast anyway? Yeah.
And so he's calling him out on cheating. Well, actually, he doesn't call him a cheater.
Yeah.
But he gets pretty close.
Well, the true story of what happened there, the way it went was that Ed Bailey was a known sort of cheater, and he would look at cards he wasn't supposed to look at, and Doc had warned him that, hey, I've seen you look at cards, don't do it again. And he did do it again. Like, the dude apparently was just a blowhard jerk of a guy, and he did do it again. So when Doc saw him do it again, Doc put his own cards down and just reached over and grabbed the pot and slid it to him, and that's where he's like, what are you doing?
Oh,
you know,
okay.
and that led to this. And he was like, you know, yeah, he didn't need his guns.
Well, I like the way the dialogue kind of works out there when he's talking about, why, Ed, if
Yeah.
I thought you weren't my friend, I don't know what I
He's
don't
like,
know if I could bear it.
Yeah, again, right? We're starting already with Doc, man. Doc just stealing it all, stealing the movie, man. Stealing money, but he's stealing the movie. With his
Which is
girl.
funny, yeah, because Kate's already set to leave.
Yeah, Kate. She might be one of the real villains of this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, Big Nose Kate was her real name.
Big Nose Kate.
Yeah, I guess she had a big nose. I don't know. They don't call her that in this, but the real lady was
Yeah.
Big Nose Kate.
Okay.
Which I've seen some attractive women with big noses.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, as they're walking out, he steals the money off the table.
Yeah.
She's already got the horses rounded up, and
Yeah, let me
Off
just
they
like,
go.
I'll take this money too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even
Yeah.
in the game. He was, he's
yeah.
like,
What are they going to do
Well,
about it?
right, yeah, what are you going to
Yeah.
do? And he's already killed somebody.
Yeah.
Whatever. Time to go. Let's
Yeah.
just forget our luggage and go.
Yeah. Then we got the carriage ride from Tucson to Tombstone. And then we have them arriving in Tombstone, and it shows the cemetery.
But yeah, Boot Hill or whatever.
It says on one of the tombstones there, it says Lester Moore, 4 slugs from a 44, no less, no more.
That's a real tombstone in
Oh,
Tombstone. Yeah, that's really modeled after it. It's really there.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, I always thought that was interesting. You know, I thought it was funny, and then it's like, that's real. Wow, it's funny. Okay. And
Dark sense of humor.
I don't know if there's a difference in Boot Hill and Tombstone Cemetery, if they're two different places, or if one was the nickname for the other. It seems like something I used to know, but now I don't. So I don't know.
Well, we meet John Biehn, Mr. Do It All.
Biehn. Nice little he's the fake mustache. The only fake mustache in this movie is Beehan's.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Beehan's something.
Yeah, you know exactly when he shows up
He's a
what this character
politician is
is.
what he
Yes. Yeah, he's the county sheriff.
Yeah.
You know, and like already he's trying to rub elbows, you know, with Wyatt and whatnot. You know, yeah, it's just freaking Biehn. Yeah, again, though, from the actor, great performance. Man.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Love to hate him.
yeah, he looks pretty cool too. I gotta give him.
He is dressed very nice.
Yeah, very I don't know, dapper, if you would.
Dapper, yes. Yeah.
Oh, he's a dandy.
He is a dandy. Then we get to meet Sheriff White.
Yep, which, you know, I think this guy, I don't know. He had always had that grandpa vibe.
Yeah.
You know, a sweet old man.
Well, right there, whenever they're walking, he's telling them about the Cowboys, and he says there's 3 right over there. There's actually 4.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I just happened to look up. I was writing down, looked up, and he said there's 3 over there, and I was like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well,
you notice them by the red sashes. I was like, there's 4 red sashes.
I love this movie, and this movie is so great, but it is flawed. And like with little things like that, like you're pointing out something. I've got a couple others I'll point out. There are some technical flaws to this film. You know, it doesn't hurt the movie, doesn't ruin it, but it's interesting to know. Yeah, but no, I'm saying it's interesting to know, you know, stuff like that now. If you put out a movie like that, it'd be shredded.
Right.
You know, they'd have to re-release it and like edit it and change it. I don't know, but
Well, they just have to voice over right there.
yeah, do the dub.
Yeah.
There's 3, 4.
And so out of all the saloons in town, they pick out the one that's not making any money.
Right,
because
the Orient.
They're gonna turn some money in.
Because they said it was a nice place.
Yeah.
But it's just nobody goes in there but like riffraffs and stuff. And why is that?
Well, that's because as we enter the Orient with Mr. Earp, we find I saw it listed as an overweight Billy Bob Thornton, and I was like, he's a little pudgy.
He's a little
but
pudgy,
I
but
wouldn't call him overweight.
nah. Yeah, okay. And this every once in a while, maybe not so much these days, but for the longest time, every once in a while, especially post Sling Blade, tell people like, "Oh, Tombstone? Yeah, it's like, you remember that scene? Yeah, it's like, you know who that was? No, watch it again." And then clear as day, here's Billy Bob dang Thornton. Like I'm playing with my sister's kids here. He improvised all his lines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the director, whoever was director, just sit there and be a jerk. And like, "Yeah, go and get that cigar out of my
That
face."
cigar out of I told you, get that cigar out of my face.
And I like it when Wyatt also, when he introduced himself to the bartender, he's like, "Wyatt Earp," he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He's like, and then Wyatt's just kind of like, "Yeah, I know." You know?
Well, how many times people have come in and claimed to be Wyatt
Yeah,
or
you know.
whatever, you know.
And it shows that he's heard of him, so
Yeah.
he's a little like, you know, well, you'll see in a
Whatever.
minute. You know,
Whatever. He's like, I'm used to it. It's okay.
So then the bartender who says like, "Yeah, well, if it wasn't for this guy over here,
Yeah, essentially.
yeah,
So,
he just moved in and freaking started slapping everybody around." You know, so Wyatt's like, "Well, if I get rid of him, that opens
Right.
up a spot of what is it? They're playing like it's called like Pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
It's spelled like Faro.
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh, but yeah,
It's
I
Pharaoh.
was always listening. I was like, "What? Like Pharaoh? What?"
Yeah, some
That's what I thought it was
Oriental
forever. It was
game,
Pharaoh.
I guess, Oriental card game.
Yeah, it's I don't know what its origins are, but it's a fast paced kind of
Yeah.
game, you know. So I don't know, but anyway, it'd be kind of interesting.
Nobody bucks the tiger.
What?
Well, that's whenever he, well, later on, whenever Wyatt says, didn't he say gambling was all?
Oh, right, yes. No, I said poker's an honest
Yeah,
trade.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes,
Yeah, let's talk about this scene, dude. This is just good. This is just some great Wyatt Earp right here. Is that a fact? Because he tells him, he's like,
you're talking pretty strong for a man that don't go around hilt.
yeah, he's like, "I don't need it to get the drop on a tub like you."
He's like, I don't need to be healed.
Because he
for-
tells him, he's like, "You're sitting in my seat. Oh, is that a
That's right.
fact?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "Is that a fact?"
Yeah.
Yeah, is that a fact?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell at this point, you can tell this guy ain't got nothing. Not
Right.
really.
He stands up. And he's so serious, and I don't know how you say this, being so serious, but he did a dang good job of it. Skin that smoke wagon.
Yeah. I said, "Go to work.
Skin it. Go get to working.
Get to work."
That's
He's just smacking him. And he's like,
three times he smacks the.
He does, and he's like, saying, you can see his eyes kind of watering up, the lips all
Just gonna
bloody.
Stand there and bleed.
Bleed, yeah, you gonna do something, or you just gonna stand there? Such a John Wayne line right there, bro. So John Wayne, dude. Well, are you gonna stand there and bleed? You know
do
that
something or just
that
stand
reminds
there
me
and
though.
bleed?
I want to rewind real quick to them getting off the train.
Yeah.
The first thing you see is a guy whipping a horse.
Oh yeah, he's whipping the horse.
And then
yeah, he
Wyatt comes
takes
over
it
there.
and pop.
So that shows you right there that Wyatt's a man of action and justice. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? So now he's over here
Hurts,
whipping.
doesn't it?
Yeah, he's over here whipping this dude like he whipped that horse. Like that guy whipped that horse, you know?
3 hard smacks.
Hard smacks, dude.
He comes back just looking like
Yeah, and it-
dumbfounded.
Because we all know a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? Who's been all talk and then they caught a freaking somebody, they caught a smack in the face and it's just like,
Shocked him.
yeah, it's like, oh, pain hurts.
Yeah.
You know, where's your plan? You know, what you gonna do? Is that a fact? And so, yeah, and he takes his gun, throws it, which,
He doesn't even look.
yeah, it's
throw.
It's so what if the bartender would have caught it all on, and like pulls the trigger and shoots Wyatt? Like that even kill him, just shoots him in the butt. He's like, "Ow, drop." And then Johnny Tyler just starts kicking him. Is that a fact? Is that a fact?
This is the facts.
You gonna lay there and bleed? Lord. So anyway, so now he's out, and we've got. He says, "Well, he's like 25% of the house." Sound about right?
Yeah, 25%. Yep.
So down there, he's like, "Got us a Pharaoh game, whatever."
We got us a Pharaoh table at the Orient. Said we got a 25% stake at a Pharaoh table at the Orient or something like that. And so he's talking to the brothers, and then who happens to show up?
Well, at this point, you have old boy coming back with the 12 gauge, the double barrel. He's like Johnny Tyler. I mean, that's how
it is. Yeah,
yeah,
that's how he steps.
you see him kinda
Yeah,
come in the
yeah,
background.
Yeah, you see him with the 12 gauge. Yeah,
That's where you hear Morgan say, "You're the one." Why? Like
Yeah.
you just kind of hear him say it like that, and then he's coming back, got his little shotgun.
Yeah.
You know, he's coming back up there, and then Johnny Tyler, Mad Cat, Doc. I didn't know you were back in town. Where you going with that shotgun?
And then they sit there and they catch up.
Yeah, they just
The friends
it's
are
so
just
good. He's
kinda
like
catching up.
Wyatt Earp, and
Well, he has to put two and two together,
he
like-
does to his credit.
Yeah, he figures it out real quick. He's like, oh man,
And
I've
if
stepped
that's-
off into it now.
If that's Doc talking to Wyatt, that's Wyatt Earp, and those other guys, they're probably Earps. And I'm one guy with two shots. Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, again, everything Doc says is so good, but I love that." He's like, "Oh, I forgot you were there.
Oh, Johnny, I forgot.
Yeah,
you
I
were there.
apologize. I forgot you were there. You may go."
You may go now.
He's like,
son.
"You may go," and he's like, "Leave that shotgun." And he goes to hand it to him. He's like, "Leave it." Sets it down, and what's he say?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Makes him drop his own gun.
Yeah.
And then says thank you about
Thank you.
it.
Which is that?
After he got smacked.
Is that the shotgun that later on they have under the table?
I don't know. No, because they have a little.
But he might have sawed the barrel because it already didn't have a stock. The one that Johnny's carrying is it's pistol grip
Oh, okay.
with
Well, I
long
don't know.
barrel. I don't know. I just wondered that because it seems like something he might do, like take his own gun and put it under the table. I don't know. Doesn't matter, but
And then you have I guess it's is it the county? Is it Biehn again, or is it the mayor that comes up talking about about the about everything?
yeah, I think it's Quinn or
Yeah.
Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah.
Which again, I did not know this guy. I'd seen him and stuff, but like Lost was really what put this guy like.
Oh.
Yeah.
Holy crud.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh wow, that is him, huh?
Yeah,
Dadgum.
totally.
Okay.
That was a resurgence to his career.
No hair. Now imagine him
Yeah.
being shaved bald and about 15, 20 years older.
Yeah, great character too, man.
Yeah.
Like what Locke.
Okay.
That was his name.
Locke.
John Locke.
Yeah.
Great character. I didn't like Lost. The first season of Lost was awesome. That's
Yeah.
all I'll say. I won't talk about the rest of it. But like and he had done like some horror like Stepfather 2 and stuff. The first thing I'd seen him in, didn't know it was him, was Young Guns. He's in the first Young Guns film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's spoiler alert if you haven't seen Young Guns. In the house at the inn when they're having the big shootout, he was Tunsel's friend that came outside and gets it with the Gatling gun.
Okay.
Yeah, which I watched real quick. I watched finished Gemstones the other day. That one episode, that one season where they're watching Young Guns. Those two people. Did you ever finish it?
I've never seen all of Righteous Gemstones. I've just seen some. I think I saw the first season,
all right. It's like anyway,
maybe part of the second season.
it's neither here nor there. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's him, Terry O'Quinn, I believe his name is.
And as soon as he starts talking about how it might be how everyone's dressed and how they're turning into this sophisticated town.
Be bigger than San Francisco or something. They say something like that, which is funny because Tombstone's still like little.
Well, as soon as he gets through saying that, all of a sudden you got a duel or whatever, having a
Yeah.
shootout that comes busting out of one of the saloons.
Got called a cheat, and that's where we get Turkey Creek Jack Johnson and Texas. What's his name in this?
Jack Vermillion,
Yeah,
Texas Jack Vermillion, right?
That's another. I quote
Texas Jack.
another line a lot that people don't get, and that's one they say in this scene where it says "Law and Order." That's every time. That's us. Somehow tell me something like "Law and Order." That's
Well, right before that, you have right after the shots, you have just as sophisticated. Then you have the shootout, and then Doc says, "Oh yeah, very cosmopolitan."
yeah, very cosmopolitan. Anytime Val Kilmer says anything, it's worth paying attention to. You want oak.
And so the guys, did I skip a? Yeah, I did.
Sorry, because they say because it was like they were playing cards. He called him a cheat.
Yeah,
so they got a little shootout.
Said it was legal. Said we was legal, and then he said, "I'm sorry, I got to take you before the judge or whatever." And anyway,
Yeah.
either way, he takes the guns. And he goes, "Well, you know us,
Law and Order every time. That's us. Now watch your ear because when we get
Yeah, he barely grazed his ear.
huh?
And that's old Buck Taylor
Yeah, it's legendary Buck Taylor.
right there.
Shout out my guy. Okay, where do we go? What's
I
up?
messed up on my timeline.
Yo, timeline sucker.
Yeah, I've got it all. What happened? Oh, okay. Next is when the carriage rolls up and out jumps Billy the Flare Hair Zane.
Billy freaking Zane, man. Dude, and let me tell you, if you don't love Billy Zane, then you've never seen Demon Knight. We already mentioned how THC is in it. So watch it. Billy Zane is the greatest thing ever in that movie. He is the most wonderful performance. They should give him an award for everything. Best actor, best whatever, best all of it. He is so good in Demon Knight, dude. If you don't love Billy Zane, then you've never seen Demon Knight. And if you've seen Demon Knight and you don't love Billy Zane, I don't love you.
I don't know what went wrong there.
Yeah, dude, because, oh my gosh, he is so good in that movie, dude. If that was the only movie he ever made, I don't know. He'd be like, who's your favorite actor? Billy Zane. Have you ever seen Demon Knight? So good. Yeah. Go watch Demon Knight. Anyway, great horror movie. You know. He's a very different character in this. Yeah.
Very different.
Only time I've ever seen him with hair in a movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Long hair, yeah, especially.
Why did I ever seen him with short hair? He didn't have it in Demon Knight. Didn't have it in Phantom. Didn't have it in what's that one that Zoolander? He's like, it's a walk off.
Yeah.
And I mean, Titanic. He had hair in Titanic.
Yes, he did.
He played an a-hole in Titanic.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
But I don't mind because of his role in Demon Knight. I'd put that character in every movie made. I'd be happy.
So you have him and then Josie come out, and
only thing I know her from was there was a show called China Beach.
okay,
Yeah, and she was the lead in it, and I don't really remember. Like, I know it was her, but I don't look at it and be like, oh yeah, a chick from China Beach. You know,
I don't know. She looks familiar, but I don't know.
That's all I know is China Beach had a great intro. Man, it had a great theme music. It was actually an oldie song, but we can talk about this.
Dana Delaney.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Again, I could.
Sorry to all the Dana Delaney fans out there.
Yeah. Don't unfollow us. We'll do a whole show about her if you request it. Anyway, so automatically there is tension between her and Wyatt, which it's just like this attraction that happens.
Yes.
And it's because like in the way he's all like Billy Zane, and is Billy Zane, is this character, is he a gay character, do you think, or is he just flamboyant? Not that it matters. I'm just wondering. I've always kind of wondered that, because
I just always kind of figured he was homosexual.
I kind of figured that too, but I don't know, because there's that also that kind of vibe between him
and Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I asked, well, is Billy a gay character? Is he just kind of like a?
No, I think he's homosexual.
I think he's supposed to be.
Like,
yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
That's why they clown on him and call him.
Yeah, but they took him, like, even though they said like they just made fun of him and stuff, but they still treated him good and put his armor. I don't know. I never really.
That's part of why he puts his arm around him. I would assume the way he has his arm around him isn't like
treating him like a female.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which maybe Curly Bill was.
Which is in the next scene.
The
theater scene right after that.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll get to that. We'll talk about the theater a little bit.
Because in the way that Zane talks about, he describes Wyatt, and they have this enchanted moment.
Yeah, eyes silently squinted from the sun. Totally. And he's like, he's like, I want one. Happy hunting. Or whatever he says.
Like, both predator and prey.
See, they could have their own show. A whole movie about that acting troupe going around. I wonder, Johnny Tyler, whatever. He would be great. A movie about him. Lost my job today, and then I'm like, how great would it have been if he would have showed up later in the movie?
So I got slapped around by this a-hole. It turns out it was Wyatt freaking Earp.
Something right here.
See that blood?
He caused that.
See that split lip? I'll sell you my shirt. It's got my blood on it. Came from Wyatt Earp.
It's like, it's still just your blood. It's Wyatt's blood now. And then like, you want to see my shotgun? Yeah, I can't. Give it to Wyatt Earp. It would just like have him like in the background, like the shootout, the OK crowd. You see him running up with his gun. Or something. Him and Ike having that would be a great fight. Ike versus him.
Oh yeah. They
just sit there and scream at each other forever. Like neither of them do anything. Is that a fact? No, don't go around here. Is that a fact? No, don't go around. Is that a fact?
Oh, okay. So yeah, right after that we have the theater moment.
The Birdcage.
Yeah.
Very famous theater in Tombstone. Some people think this movie was filmed in Tombstone, and it wasn't. No, because Tombstone's still there, obviously. Stop it. Anyway, but it's too modernized. You good, bro?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
I'm glad you have to edit this stuff. Anyway.
There's no editing. I just let it roll.
Unless
I'm the one. I'm the only time that I edit is whenever I slip up and say a cuss word. That's the only thing
or
that
you
ever
say
gets
something
edited.
like just ignorant, and that's why the original cuts are usually 9-12 hours. And you got to cut all your stupid stuff out, and we get left with like 3 hours.
I leave it in.
Anyway, So the birdcage, but no, it's too modernized. But they did a really good job of making this look like the birdcage. Fun fact about the real birdcage. So you know how they got those booths up there that they're sitting in. They did the birdcage does have that, but that was not for like your regal guest and stuff. That was actually for
Po folk.
No.
Oh.
The people seeking other entertainment. That's where the prostitutes would work.
Oh, makes sense.
They would work up there, which so it's funny in Tombstone, that's where you got Wyatt Earp and his family have the best seats in the house, but it was actually that's where the hoeing went on.
Okay.
And a fun thing about also the birdcage, we're talking about a very old venue. And I love venues, and like so many, I mean, I don't know how many venues from that era still exist. I don't know. But I know something they used to do, the shooting in there, like that was a thing that they did. If they liked the stuff going on, they would shoot up. If they didn't like it, they would shoot into the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, which just like, that's how rude.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're tearing that place up, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I guess obviously there's no upstairs over there. There can't be a second floor to that. That has to be it right there.
Right. Yeah. It's a fairly small building.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've never been there. My mother-in-law's been in it. She said it smells old because they still got the original curtains up and stuff. Yeah. I'd love to go, but
dang, original curtains.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. All right. In fact, the curtain, this is a tidbit I was going to leave out. The curtain that you see that has the that woman painted on it, that was actually a shout out to a very famous performer from there.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're like, well, let's put her on that curtain. And not to ruin any love story here, but the real girl, the actress, performer girl, that Wyatt Earp has the love thing with, she did work there, but she wasn't an actor. She worked up in the booths.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In fact, there's this whole thing about Wyatt Earp being a pimp too, which is weird because he gets called pimp later, but like the real Wyatt Earp, I think he did some like legit pimping.
Oh, really? Well, it's like Virgil is the one that gets called pimp.
Yeah, pimp heart.
Yeah.
Pimps. Right?
Yeah, the way he delivers those lines, it's like, yeah.
It's like, did he call him? Why did he call him?
That's why I was just like, what the he's talking about?
Yeah, that's like when somebody calls you something like, hey, what? I don't know if I'm mad or like just, huh?
It's like, very confused by what you just said.
He said I was it's like, anyway, I almost went into another story. Just didn't need to. But so, and I love this business with Barnes when the curtain opens, if I'm not getting ahead of myself. And it's the, what is his name? Dr. Gills or Professor Gills?
Professor Gilmore?
Yeah, and the way he's like, Professor like you reckon
Gilman. Professor Gilman.
Yeah, Professor Gilman. Like
I saw him in Bursby.
Just that almost like a kid that just recognizes somebody he knows because I bet he can't read. So he's just like, Professor Gilman. I see, he catches stuff. I love that. And that dude, that actor, I forget his name, but
John Corbett.
Thank you. He, famous for My Big Fat Greek Wedding and also Northern Exposure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the radio dude, Northern Exposure.
See, he sounds like Rob Wyatoff or something like that. The guy that plays the voice of John Marston in the Red Dead.
Oh,
series.
yeah. No, it kind of looks like
their sound, like their voice sound. Because I had to stop. I was like, hold on a second. I was like, surely that's not him. And no, it's not him. It's a different guy.
But I see.
I was like, I can see where he gets that inflection though from, because obviously this came first.
Professor Gilman, like, what are you doing here? Just the way he says it.
Great delivery. Sister Boy. That's whenever you've got the he comes out and does St. Crispin Day. St. Crispin's Day.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
Well, the other guy after Gilman,
yeah.
Then
Billy
you have
Zane.
Billy Zane,
right,
doing St. Crispin's Day or whatever it is, and that's whenever Billy looks like he's straight falling in love with him.
But you also see the character Billy Zane's playing here is a very strong-willed, brave person because he gets
very much so.
Yeah, and he's like,
yeah. Dude, like totally just, he's like, all right, whatever.
Because he knew they weren't going to shoot him because that's murder.
Yeah.
Because even with all this lawlessness, murder's still murder.
Plus, it's right there on stage. And,
right, yeah.
In
So
front of literally everybody.
Yeah, and he had just seen the other dude run off, but he's like, no, I'm going to stay here and do my thing. So
yeah.
That shows, which kind of also plays into later whenever, he,
But yeah, no, that's something that's always like, could you imagine sitting up there? First of all, how he's dressed in the tights and all that stuff, comes out in front of all these crazy masculine, outlaw men and gets shot literally just a foot away from him, taking out a part of his scenery, and still just keeps rocking straight forward,
Well, he probably wasn't the first time.
True.
This is probably something he's become very accustomed to, especially because that's the kind of people they play for,
right?
And stuff, and it's just like, yeah, they don't kill me. It's fine. Yeah, I bet the first time it happened, he probably did the old Professor Gilman and ran off.
Then we have Foss, the deal with the devil.
Yeah. Which you get some really good dialogue here whenever between the cowboys. You know when Curly Bill's, I'd take the deal and drill old devil in there or crawfish.
Crawfish the devil and something.
And then he's like, "What about you, Johnny?" He's like, "I already did." Which tells you a lot about.
Kind of implies, that he's thinking that he has already made a deal with the devil, and his soul is pretty much gone.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, dadgum, he killed a priest just because. And he's just Johnny Ringo's just. He's just. Is he evil for the sake of? Is he born evil, or is he a villain born or a villain created? I don't know. I would love to get a backstory on him. Like
John Peters Ringo died at the age of 32 by a suicide.
Well, standing up to Doc Holliday can be considered suicide. Well, so that makes sense. Again, liberty's taken. But I want the story from this character in this movie, not necessarily.
Well, I'm just saying he was a very dark, demented. I think he was very overwrought, or that's not the right way, but life weighed heavy on his shoulders.
Yeah. Well,
and we'll get to that.
Yeah. Well, he needs revenge.
So it ends with the deal with the devil.
And then they're like, "Oh, who's the devil?" And then it's a girl.
Oh, shucks! Say it ain't so.
Wyatt again, like, oh my gosh! Like anytime every time they see each other, they're just like, I don't know. It's like they start eye loving each other. Like, oh no, we're gonna hook up, aren't we? Yeah. Oh no, I'm married.
It's just a matter of time before we dilly dally, huh?
Oh, we dilly dally. Man, you been out there dilly dally. Is that some Newcastle stuff? I don't go with her. She dilly dallies. I'm proper.
Because he goes, "I'll be damned," and he's like, "If you're lucky."
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, great stuff with and again, this is a part where somebody walks up to Wyatt and is like, "By the way, could we introduce?" He's like, "No."
No. Yeah, the mayor.
Yeah.
So they end with the deal with the devil. They step outside and they begin talking about the stars and God, and that's whenever Morgan brings up about seeing,
and apparently
reading the spiritualism.
Yeah, apparently that's true to the real Morgan Earp, that he was very fascinated by the concept of death and life after death, and that was a real conversation he had talking about what happens when you die and stuff.
Okay, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
But I love what Wyatt says right here is something. Nothing? I don't know. Yeah. I quoted that before. People are like, what are you doing? I'm like, something? Nothing? I don't know.
Then you got Maddie licking on the lawn.
Yeah, licking on it.
She's like,
she's making it last.
It's like, good gosh.
Just go ahead and swig it and die already.
Right.
That's cold. Sorry.
Anyways, that's rough.
But dadgum, it's not like the stuff was illegal. And
it was literally just sold, out, going to the drugstore and buy it or whatever.
And I guess that might be, again, we didn't talk about at the beginning that this is an R-rated film, and it's like, does it have to be?
No, that's if it was shot today, it probably wouldn't make an R rating.
Yeah, it probably gets a PG-13.
Yeah, well, they would probably cut off a few of the GDs, or maybe there would be a little bit that would be shaved off, because there is one F-bomb through the entire movie. I know there is, though. There's one, and and I will here, but because I didn't think there was a single one, but there is one.
I know that my dad watched this movie with me, and my dad was very strict on what we watched, and I mean he wasn't so strict, but that kind of stuff mattered to him, and he didn't have any kind of problem.
There's more the GD in it bothers me more than
that bothers me and everything, and that's just me.
It has a lot of implication of gore. It has a lot of there's a lot of implied stuff. There is some blood.
There's some drug use,
Yeah, and lots of alcohol and cigarettes, and
that probably has a big deal to do with it, because that stuff matters. That does factor in, and just the seeing dead bodies and stuff, So I guess I get it.
As they're breaking, and he's going off to work, and she's like, "Hey, you want to stick back?" And he's like, "Oh no, I gotta work." And she's like, "Well, I don't want to keep you." And
he's like, "Well, I guess I can hang out." She's like, "No, go to work."
Too late now. Nope. Nope. Too late now. I already offered. Nope.
Go make us a lot of money so you could buy more of my freaking
drugs.
Yeah, the gas or whatever.
Well, then as she's leaving, he's like, "Oh yeah, you look beautiful." And it's like, bro, a little late.
Yeah, I'm sure she feels beautiful.
Yeah.
She got a new coat of paint.
Yeah.
But So we get the saloon. Again, a business I like a lot in here over in the Orient, which is jumping. You know, it went from being the Oriental, if you will.
Yeah.
Went from being the place that nobody would go
Yes.
to it is packed.
Now all of a sudden it's lined
Well,
up.
you got Wyatt freaking Earp in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, nothing's gonna go down up in there. It's gonna be safe again.
Yeah, you got to worry about old freaking Mad Cat.
Mm-hmm.
He's outside crying. Or what? I want to know what. Did he just leave Tombstone after that?
I don't know.
I don't know. You know, again, I'd like
Probably
to.
crawled up in a hole and
Yeah.
cried for a
Can't
week.
believe you stand there and bleed. Yeah, that's what I should have said.
Well, then
You go to work. Yeah.
Then you have the conversation with you've got Morgan and Wyatt, and you've got Doc, and talking about what would you do if she walked in,
Right,
You
yeah,
know, that
setting
kind of
them
deal.
up.
Yeah, and from where Doc's standing, it kind of looks like he can see her walking in, but Wyatt has yet to notice that she's coming in because of the way in.
And the way they say it, like she walked in, you know, and then it's like, who? You know, well, who? And it's like, because there is this crazy, weird tension going on between them that, you know, I guess if you look at it from the point of view of like meant to be together
Yeah.
and a love story or
Yeah.
whatever, which, you know, I like love stories, but,
Right.
you know, like, yeah, sure, it works. You know,
What would you do if she just walked in? I'd just turn
Probably
around.
ignore
I'd
her.
Probably ignore her.
he's like, I'll remember you said that. And then she all smiles at him and he does. And he's like,
Turns around.
Yeah, I stand corrected. You are an oak.
Then you've got the guys over at the Pharaoh table. Morgan's got this giant cheese grin on, and whenever she walks up and Wyatt turns around and ignores her,
Yeah.
that's whenever Morgan's sitting there like.
Morgan. Gotta love Morgan.
Next up, you have Mr. Law Dog.
Okay, great. I love this scene, man. Like they're sitting there at the thing, and they know he's Wyatt Earp, so they're gonna kind of go test him. But what I love about this,
Does he know he's Wyatt Earp?
yeah, at this point, everybody knows Wyatt Earp's there.
Even Billy?
I would think so.
Because he picks up or is he just playing with him whenever he signs an autograph?
Right, and then he walks over
over
there.
there, picks it up. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay.
See,
Just
that's what I
jacking with
think.
him.
You know, yeah, exactly. That's what I think. And because he seems like the kind of guy, he knows what's going on in this
Yeah.
town all the time. You know, so
Well, if he's leading those guys, he can't be a complete numbskull.
right,
You know?
and he's not. You know, this character does not. Neither does Ringo. Well, obviously Ringo's educated,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something we're about to get to. But like, I love that this. I didn't catch this at first. The way he walks up to the table and he puts money down,
Mm-hmm.
and then Wyatt, I believe, never looks down at the money or anything. He just throws a card down and says 500 to the king.
Yeah.
And I think Morgan hands him the money.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't even this money here. It was straight up. It was a bribe.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, let's be cool.
Right.
You know, and I
That's
love
when he's like, just leave him alone.
well, that's why he gets like, yeah, shut up, Ike.
He's like, whatever, we'll let
And he's
this
like,
slide.
he's like, we're good. You
Yeah.
know, he's like, okay, me and Wyatt Earp are going to get along. You know, so it's not like automatically like, oh,
Right.
he is my town. It's like,
$500 is a lot of money.
oh, dude, I did the math and it's something like $12,000 today. I'm sure they didn't add it up.
That's like $500 at that time.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, dude, no,
chunk
it's a
of
fortune,
change.
man. And that's why I was like, I got to know. It might have only been something like, no, it's something. I think it's something like 12 grand or something,
Yeah,
dude. It's
I don't
ridiculous.
doubt it.
I'm sure to them it was like 1,000 or whatever, but
But this is whenever you get the nice little stare down and the interaction between Mr. Ringo and Doc Holliday.
yeah, oh gosh, man, maybe. Well, it's so hard to pick the best scene in this movie.
This is one of those.
You're gonna this is in the discussion for sure, and this is where you see them match wits.
Yes.
You know, and that's something too, because you got to look at these two characters. They're surrounded by, you know, ruffians and whatnot, uneducated people, but you have these two guys, different ends of the spectrum. Well, maybe not so different, because Doc is still kind of a criminal. You
Yeah,
know,
it's pretty dark.
yeah. So you got these two guys that have similarities, you know, on different sides though, but like they're
Nemesis.
yeah, they're both used to being the smartest man in the room. Now they don't
And
know.
dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. But when those two are in the same room, you don't know who is the smartest. You don't know who's the most dangerous. And it's there's only room for one at the top, you know? So
This is the scene when Ringo, though, does reveal his hand.
what do you mean?
Well, okay, so first of all, you have well, he says, "Are you? You must be Doc Holliday. Are
Right.
you retired too?" And
He's like, I'm in my prime.
yeah, that's when he says, "Not me. I'm in my prime." And that's whenever
Yeah,
he
you look
says,
it.
"Should I hate him?" And he asks Kate, "Should I hate him?" And then they go back and forth in Latin, right?
Yeah, I know the first part, what they're saying. The first thing is because they say something about Doc being drunk, and the Latin that he says,
In wine there is truth.
yeah, in wine there is truth, and then
So Ringo says, "Do,
Do
what,
what
you
you do."
do." And then he
great.
he responds back with, "Let Apella the Jew believe, not I." So he's basically saying, "Let others believe it, but I don't." And then whenever Ringo responds back with, "Youth is the teacher of fools," or its experience is the teacher of fools. And so he's saying, "I'll show you." He's
Right.
like, "Everyone else can believe it, but I don't." And he's like, "Well, I'm about to show you," or, I can show you. And then he responds with, "May he rest in peace,"
yeah,
which is a straight up threat.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, fine. It's like, no, I know that I'm a bad A. You think you're a bad A. I know that I am. He's like, "Well, I'll show you. I'll show you." And he's like, "All right, well,
yeah.
come
So
on."
you have these two guys having a conversation that literally no one else is in. Like nobody else knows what they're saying to each other, but they 100% know what's being said. And also that flex of it's like, I'm educated, me too.
Right.
It's like,
Well, it kind of catches Doc off surprise because
Mm-hmm.
he's just speaking into his cup, there,
right,
You
which he's probably does stuff like that, and people are like, what's he talking
Yeah.
about? And he's like, they don't even know what's a language. They're like blabbering over there, drunk old dentist, longer. But yeah,
So like a little deal on that is the way I kind of saw it was Holiday's drunkenness makes him more honest, not less. Because Wyatt says, "Oh, don't mind him. He's just drunk."
yeah, he's like, there's
And
truth in one.
he's like, "Yeah, no, he's more honest whenever he's more honest when he drinks." And Ringo's like, "Do what you want to do about his drinking or about gunfighting." Holiday replies with a quote from I looked it up. It's Horace, whatever that is. So he's basically saying to save it for someone who cares. Then Ringo shoots back, "Experience is the teacher of fools," to imply that Doc is reckless or too inexperienced to see the danger that he's in. And then the finale is Doc saying, "Rest in peace." Not much to explain there, because then Ringo pulls his gun, winds
Right.
up pulling his gun. Well, that's Latin, doll, and apparently he's an
educated
educated
man.
man. And then he pulls his gun on him.
Because I
And-
think it's where he says, "Yep, I hate him."
Yep.
And that's where he pulled it.
Yep. Nope, you're right about that. And that's when he pulls his gun on him, and Doc's just like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then he does his little show.
Well, yeah, it's a really good thing he does with the gun beam and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's really, and I remember watching that in the theater, being like, "Now Doc's gonna have to do it," but you.
Well, if you watch everyone else in the crowd, except you've got Kelly Bill is just kind of like, whatever, But
he's probably
Morgan's staring at his gun, Wyatt's staring at his gun, and Doc is staring at his gun. Yeah, of course, Wyatt's
got the double barrel.
got a shotgun trained on him already. But those three guys are staring at his gun. Everybody else is just kind of watching it as this show,
Right.
Just the rest of the group, because really what's going on is right there between
Yeah.
those men, and to everyone else, this is just entertainment essentially. Whatever happens, but it's between those two guys. We're just watching it, and so he does his deal, right? Well, of course, we know Doc responds back by taking his cup, but he does the exact same moves,
Same routine.
and so he's showing, whenever he starts doing all that crap, that's just giving Doc a chance to study what in the heck he does.
Ah,
in the
that's
first
what
place.
you're saying about
That's what I'm
showing
saying. He's revealing his hand. It's like, maybe you shouldn't have gone all out, or maybe
Right.
you should,
I'm showing you my skill level.
yeah, maybe you shouldn't have moved that fast, because he went as fast. I mean, he's looking like he's going as fast and smooth and all that stuff. But at the same time, now Doc is able to go, "Okay, now I know exactly who you are. I know exactly what you can do, and I can do it with a cup,"
Yeah. And
which
that's a really good
to
observation.
humiliate him.
Yeah, no, I didn't really think about it that way, but you're totally right, dude. And that makes the scene work, and like, not that it didn't work anyway. But what I love
Just
about
adds
that,
an extra layer to it, in my opinion.
yeah. But I loved how everybody starts cracking up.
Yeah.
Like everybody, even Bill,
Curly Bill's like,
and I'm almost not sure that Ringo doesn't smile as he turns around. Like I just,
it's like, what are you gonna do? It's like,
which was a very smart thing. He broke
yeah.
all the tension.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. He had to calm things down a little bit.
And then Bill adds to that with like, "Drinks on me," and throws a small fortune in the air.
Yeah.
"Drinks on me." Yeah, really, really, really good scene though, man. What?
Am I reading it wrong? Does it say 58 minutes?
58 minutes.
We are not at the shootout at the OK Corral.
We're in the first act. What's the next scene?
Wyatt and Josie they meet
Oh,
while
yeah.
they're riding. So, that happens.
Again, he's just trying to stay away from her.
Yeah.
And she's like, let's run it at him. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
dadgum, I'm going to cheat.
Yep. Well, then he goes and sits down and has a dadgum. On the blanket. As soon as the
Has a
blanket, it's
date.
like, oh my gosh. It's
It's a
like, dude,
date.
you're cheating on your wife.
Yeah,
That's what it
absolutely.
comes down
Of course,
to.
his wife's technically cheating on him with a
Yeah,
bottle.
that's what I'm going to say. As soon as he comes home, she's knocking on that bottle of laudanum.
Yeah, and he's like, we should just go or something,
Yeah, just go and get room service. And she's like, what are you talking about?
That's stupid. I just want to sit here and do my dope.
That's whenever. Next is, after that, you have Billy Clanton drunk. So you got, and they're going, he's playing, Doc is playing the piano.
Oh, yeah, he's playing the Chopin.
And they're all drunk and stuff, right?
Frederick and Chopin.
There you go. That's the F word right there. That's
It
the
is.
only F
Oh
word.
my
You just now you said yeah, that's it.
I'm like,
That's
there's
the
not one in it.
Yeah, Frederick F and Chopin.
Chopin.
Yeah, because he's like
Even-
Stephen Foster, Camptown
He
Races.
says,
And he's like, this is a nocturne. It's like, what? Chopin.
okay, well, we're getting into a really good scene. Anyway,
Do you want to continue or
yeah, let's go a little bit longer.
Go a little bit longer on this, yeah, because it's a really dark. Everyone's kind of pretty intoxicated at this point. Is the whole mood that you have, especially with them, everyone in the bar right there being drunk. That situation, then it moves over into a opium tent.
Right. See, now, as a kid, I didn't know anything about opium, so I just thought he was drunk.
Yeah,
And he's like, capital.
yeah. He's like, I feel great. I feel just capital. And he starts like, ooh,
Yeah, like looking at his hand.
ooh. And
Decides for whatever reason to start busting off shots.
blasting away. Just
I think he starts
shooting
shooting at
that
the
shit.
moon.
Like he shoots at the glass first, and then he starts shooting at the moon, or he starts howling at the moon. Then he starts shooting at it and stuff. And
One thing about this movie, I suggest no one ever count the shots. 'Cause they got some magic guns, dude, that don't run out of bullets.
well, it's like they start shooting with one, and then they start shooting with another, and then it's forgot to reload.
And I'll tell you something about that too. That's one of the flaws. It was obvious for me from the first time I saw this movie. I was like, "What?" But yeah, he's doing that, and of course, they're at that point. They're deciding who's got to go deal with him.
Well, the county sheriff
Well, it's a town matter.
he's such a pansy, dude. He's such a sissy, and there he is. And the thing about it is too, and this is something that it bugged me later after. Or so anyway, go ahead. And so he sends the old man Fred out there.
Yeah.
It's like of all the people, it's like you're gonna send this old man out there.
And Wyatt says, "Just let him."
Yeah,
go.
leave him alone, dude. Just
Right.
whatever, dude. It's like as long as he's not hurting anybody, like at this point, just leave it alone.
Yeah,
It's
just-
not worth it.
Yeah, don't go out there with the
You
fighting
know?
dog.
Yeah, it's like just leave him, let him be, And so old Fred comes out there pointing a gun at him. It's like,
Gonna have to take those now.
yeah, it's like, what do you think is gonna happen? And so, but he does. He goes to hand him over.
Yeah.
But you can hear the pistol cock whenever he hands it over. And
Yeah.
that's whenever it's like, oh shoot.
Yeah, and I'll tell you some interesting stuff about this. Number one is if you watch when he shoots him, because he does, shoots him, you could see a like a hose in his shirt. Yeah, where the blood comes out of. Like again, I don't think they've taken it out of digital copies. Even if they did, I got VHS. But you could see a tube sticking out of his shirt, like just straight up. Because I remember seeing it and being like, "What's that? Is this his badge?" And then finally it took me a while to realize, like, oh, that's a mistake. So there's one thing when you're watching this sweet old man die, you can look at the tube and just want to. And he's like, but the way he's like, oh, I was just fooling, all that. In real life, Curly Bill did claim this was an accident, and Wyatt Earp actually testified that he actually believed it was an accident too.
Oh, yeah.
For Curly Bill, even though they weren't on the same side, he was like, no, I really don't think he meant to do it, and that they said Curly Bill always did regret shooting Fred.
Okay.
Yeah, like he really was. He was bummed that he did it.
Huh.
You know.
Well, he's so out of his head. Like, I don't know. But
Oh, yeah, no,
you can hear the
that's-
pistol cock whenever he shoots, and it's the way he's holding it. I don't know. Like I said, he's high out of his head. Anyways.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the sheriff and Josie are standing right there watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're watching the whole thing, right?
Mhm.
And then in like the next scene or something, when Curly Bill gets released.
Well, first, we're kind of skipping ahead there because what happens right after he shoots him? Wyatt walks up,
Well, yeah, Wyatt walks up,
knocks him out,
sorry.
and then
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, knocks him out because somebody had to take control of it,
Right.
and then that's where you got, and then right there you got Ike, turn him
Yeah,
loose.
there you go.
Turn him loose, like right away. He just shot the sheriff in the middle of the street, like turn him loose, cowboys.
It's like something has to be done about this.
Yeah, and they're like, no, and they're ready to lynch him. People were ready to lynch him right then and there, and that's why he's like, no, he's gonna stand trial, but and then he's like, and then the part we were talking about where he steps to him, he puts a gun right to
Yeah, he
Ike's
puts it
head.
right there, and he goes, "I'll make your head into a canoe."
Yeah, which
I was
is
like, whoa.
I know, I'm like, I don't know how that works, but
But you can
dang.
just picture the opening
Yeah.
of a canoe, and it's like, holy crap.
And he's like, and most of the guns in this movie are 45s.
Yeah,
I-
that big
like
old bullet's gonna rip his head in half.
Doc Rock's 38s, but every other pistol I think is a 45. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's done. But like he's like, nope, he'll do it.
Puts that sucker
He-
dead in his
Yeah.
forehead.
He ain't bluffing.
He ain't bluffing.
And I think Ike was right. He wasn't bluffing. And then he's like, then to Billy's like, yo, neck. Doc comes out.
So you're next. Oh, it's a drunk piano player.
Yeah, you're so drunk, probably seen double. And then he says like one of the best lines.
Like, I got two guns.
One
for each of you.
That's such a pimp line, dude. That's so G. I got two guns. It's like, well, Dad, come.
It's like, well, what do you know?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Which, there's Doc right there. Doc, he may be a questionable sort, but man, what a good friend.
Yeah, and that's something that stays true throughout the whole thing. And there's a line later on.
And at this core of this movie, I mean, really, it is about, I think, the friendship of Doc and Wyatt.
I believe so as well.
Yeah, because I mean, that's obviously the most interesting part of the movie.
I agree as well.
Yeah, I mean, it overshadows the little love thing going on, and it's also a tale of revenge, but all of that, yeah, so anyway, great stuff. But so, I guess he arrests Curly Bill at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I've got the citizens carry him off or whatever. And that's whenever Wyatt says that Bill gets off.
Yeah, they cut to them there, and he's saying like, no
Yeah.
witness, no. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't care, it's none of my business,
But there's, of course, the county sheriff's bought by, seems to be,
Well, yeah,
at least later on, is bought off by the cowboys. So the sheriff could have. They have two witnesses. Was saying right there is my whole point.
right. And I want to say
Watching
there,
the whole thing.
whenever he was talking to Fred, whenever Beehan's like, this is a town matter, not a county matter.
Yeah.
Later on, I want to say that gets said back to Beehan at some point, like this is a
Yes.
town matter, not
Yes.
a county matter, or
Yep.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just can't remember that, but So yeah. Anyway, there is.
Yeah. Whenever they're going to.
So what happens? Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's whenever O'Quinn comes in, John Locke comes in. He's like, we need a sheriff in this town, and Wyatt's like, nope. And then Virgil's like, he's like, what about you? He's like, I'm busy. We're all busy. And he's like, well, don't let me interrupt you. This town's suffering. Then Morgan's like, I'm suffering from a hangover.
Well, in that whole time, you can see Virgil kind of like,
Oh, no,
man,
he-
this is weighing on him.
it is,
He's an
yeah.
honest man, and he can do something, and he's not doing anything about it. And he makes that whole point
Yeah,
about them
it's like,
making money on.
Yeah, we're
him
getting
and-
rich, and all these people are
Yeah.
terrified because he goes outside and like a kid almost gets ran over by a horse, and he grabs the kid and he hands it to the kid to her mom, and the mom's got a big scar across her face. Just like, daggone, these people are suffering, and it's because of these freaking cowboys. Hey, could you not come up with a more original name? Can we just talk about that for a minute? We're the Cowboys. Okay. What Cowboys? Just the Cowboys.
The Red Sash Cowboys.
Yeah, we're a red sash. Why? Because we're Cowboys.
Because we're cowboys.
What's that got to do with anything?
Because we're cowboys.
Cowboys, that gummit.
Red Sash.
Kid Rock. What?
Cowboy. Bow, ba, da, bow, da, bow, da, bow.
Oh, man, no. Yeah. Okay, so Virgil, this is weighing on his mind. And what's the next scene then? I'm having a little bit of trouble here in my mind. As I
It
think-
flashes to the no guns.
Yeah,
in town.
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I was making sure I
Yeah.
wasn't missing something.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here watching this movie in my head.
Yeah.
And he's like, but he says the most redundant thing, kind of. When he's like, we're not saying you can't own a gun.
Not saying you can't carry a gun. We're just saying you can't carry a gun in town.
Which means you can't carry a gun.
Well, if you notice,
Stage films. Makeup.
Set design.
IT.
Quick.
We're good. The VHS is okay. We're good.
Art department. Well, if you notice later on, like whenever Ike and them are, whenever he bops Ike in the head, you know, Ike has taken his guns and put them in at the bar.
Right. Oh,
which-
yeah.
So it's like they kind of got to check them
Check
whenever
'em
they
in,
go
yeah.
in. This way, if they're
Does
in,
make
as
sense.
long as they're in the bar and they're drinking or whatever, maybe
Right.
they got to check them. I don't know how all that works.
Which that's a fun scene too. We'll
you know,
get to shortly.
so.
Is that the next scene?
Well, then, you have them. And he says,
I mean,
I do like the line with, "I told you we weren't getting involved," and
Yeah.
he says, "You got us involved when you brought us here."
Yeah. And then
It's like, you know dang well what kind of man I am. You know dang well I'm gonna get involved.
right. And then
Should have known.
I like when and Morgan, he's like, Morgan, and Morgan's like, and he's like, I'm just backing in my brother. I thought you would.
Right.
You know, which again, that just shows you Morgan's the younger one,
Yep.
you know? And ultimately he's right. Because ultimately Wyatt does, you know?
Yeah.
But
Just a matter of time.
But Wyatt, yeah, he's really leaning into that reluctant hero,
Yes.
you know?
Like,
Which,
he don't want to do it, but it's like, he's going to.
right. And,
You know?
sometimes films, they can drag the reluctant hero on too long, but they don't here. You know,
No.
I think they did it well here. I hate it when you're like playing a role playing game like D&D and somebody's playing the reluctant hero and they just stay the reluctant hero. I'm like, yo, bro, you got to stop being reluctant to get to the hero part.
It's like, remember your OP. It's time to do something about it. You're overpowered. It's time to do something about it. It's like, no, I hear you.
No, it's like evolve your character.
I do that. I was watching. I'm gonna go nerd for a second. I was watching an anime, and it's like, this makes no sense. You're the most powerful character in the entire TV show, and here you are just acting like a big giant sissy, crying about everything. And it's like, you don't have to take it. You can kill everybody. No, you don't have to quit. Just
right.
do something about it. You can do something about it. Do something about it.
You know what I hate in horror or superhero movies when somebody gets a power and they're like, I just want to be normal.
It's like, it's
What?
too late.
But it's like, who wouldn't want to? No, I could fly and I have super strength. I just want to be normal and go to
No.
school.
All I wanted to
What?
do was just play football without hurting anybody. What? You're
like,
supposed to hurt
bro,
people.
You can fly. Forget all that other
Do
noise.
something
Go
else.
fly. I just want to be normal. Said nobody ever. Unless somebody's like, no offense to them, but somebody's handicapped, and then they
Right.
want to be normal. You know, sure, I get that. But not, oh, I'm enhanced. I've good. Stop it. I'm tired of that narrative in movies. You know, if people should be like, yeah. Then you get Brightburn. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Okay, so at this point, are we back in the are we back in the Oriental?
Yeah, and White walks in while Josie's singing.
Ah, yeah. What do you think of that singer? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did have something to say. I'll point out though, whenever Wyatt goes in there and he's confronting his brothers and stuff, and now all of a sudden he's got a gun. Like the whole time, like you said, I'm not even carrying a gun.
Right.
He makes a
Oh, yeah,
show
'cause he
of
takes his gun off and gives
now,
it to
now
him.
all of a sudden he's got a gun that he hands over. So I was kind of like, I don't understand.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe he started carrying one after the stuff
guess.
with Curly Bill and
Yeah,
whatnot.
I guess possibly.
Maybe it's Ike's gun.
Maybe. Yeah, and then you got Josie singing, and Doc has been at the table for 36 hours
36
straight.
hours
36
straight.
hours straight, sitting there drinking,
Yes, drinking, smoking, gambling with Ike of all people. Now, maybe poker's not your game. I know. Let's have a spelling competition. Doc.
Well, that's whenever he's like, Ike doesn't necessarily call him a cheater, but
Yeah.
he pretty much
Yeah, he's like-
gets around it. You know, this is 12 hands in a row. No one's that lucky. You know, if he'd have called him a cheater, that's essentially it's time to fight. If he had
Right.
just straight up called him out on and used, called him a cheater, it'd have been, all right, it's time to fight.
Right,
For
yeah.
real.
It's fighting words, as they say in that era.
It's why Ike, whatever do you mean?
Which I don't know if Doc Holliday was a cheater, if he was known for cheating or anything. I don't know. He might- well, no, you know what? They said his intelligence was why he was so good at poker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they said because of his high intelligence, that was something that he had figured out that he was good at. And I mean, and you think about it, you play with a bunch of,
Yeah.
these guys,
Right.
and you're a little bit clever and you can read people and all that.
Yeah, no,
know.
I understand, especially the more that people drink.
Yeah, and then you got him, like I said, 36 hours, man. Can you imagine that? Just posted up at a table and drinking and smoking without a chemical edge. How do you do that? You know?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But okay. So at that point, I know he goes to get up to get some fresh air. He falls down as he would. That's why he hadn't got up, because he's going to collapse.
Well, yeah, and then you've got the deal with Ike first, because Ike and Virgil
right.
start getting into it.
Yeah.
And that's whenever he's like, "Don't put your hands on me."
Yeah,
or
don't
whatever.
we'll cut your pimp heart out.
I'll cut your pimp heart out.
Which, real quick, I want to say about Doc, though.
So don't mess with the cowboy. We'll cut your pimp heart
We'll
out.
cut your pimp heart out.
Don't mess with the cowboy.
No, dog. But, like, one thing about
That's
Doc,
when Doc crashes.
yeah, then he's like, "I hope you die longer." Or,
Yep.
you know, and he's like, "Give me my gun." Da-da. And I love this. I love it, dude. That he's like, he's talking all this sass, you know.
If I see them Wyatt, if I see them Earp boys, out on the street.
And freaking Virgil's just standing behind him, listening to it all. Listening to him talking about going to kill him and all this stuff. He turns around and wow. I love that. I just love that. It's like, take it, Ike. You know, you're talking, I'll talk that sass. You know, Virgil right behind you, boy. You know, like, yeah. But, you know, I got to wonder about Doc. Has there ever been another character in a movie that played such a good role and that was so dangerous and so, like, you don't really feel sympathy for Doc at any point, although he's dying? You know, you're not like, oh, poor guy. You're just like, look at Doc go. Look, he's like on his deathbed and he's still playing out there. You know, he's collapsing and falling. He's still the deadliest guy in the room, you know?
Well, oh, wait, that's the next day. Okay, yeah. So then the next day they're getting Ike out.
Yeah.
So they're getting Ike out of jail, and you've got Billy, and then that other guy, he's like, "I'm not your kid."
Yeah, I'm not your kid. And
Take that and stick it up here.
The only other thing I know that actor from is Point Break. He was
Okay.
one of the bank robbers. The guy that had the little like Errol Flynn looking gimmick going on.
Okay.
You know, if you ever watch that again, that was him. Because I knew watching it, I was like, this guy looks familiar, but I don't know how.
Right.
But yeah, it's him. He actually has no facial hair in this.
Yeah, no, he has none.
But he did in Point Break. So
Yeah.
didn't you get the memo? Facial hair, brother. Facial hair. We know you can grow it.
And so Ike threatens a fight that day.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't give him his gun
No,
back. And
'cause he was still drunk.
Because later on, you know, he's like,
You
I got no
you don't
gun.
have no guns, yeah.
And they're like-
He's the only one
Right, yeah.
out of everybody there. He's like,
I got no gun.
it's like, I can't fight back, even
You
if I
gotta
want. He said,
fight.
the fights come in, let's get the fight. And it's like, what with?
Yeah, and he's like, you got a fight coming. It's coming today.
You know, it's like, you didn't think
Alright.
that through, did you?
Yeah, you just, okay, well, go ahead and tell them. Make sure they know. And then Pretty Pimp, though, and Wyatt's like, might go ahead and swear me in just to
Go ahead and
be
swear me in.
just to be safe.
But the way Billy delivers the as he's riding off.
Yeah. So somebody comes and tells them at that point that is it John Locke?
Well, you've got Doc Holliday's in there, and that's whenever you figure out that he's lost 60% of his lung.
Right, yes.
And
Okay, yeah.
all this, that he needs to knock out the drinking and smoking and the nightlife, the gambling, and his marital exercises.
And he might have 2 years if he did.
You know, yeah, he said maybe 2 years, maybe 2 weeks.
Right.
And of course, she pushes him forward into smoking and that
Yeah.
directly after.
Right.
So,
And he says, like, you are a good woman. And he's like, oh, you might be the Antichrist.
Christ.
I know. And he's like, we need to redefine our, like right there, it shows you the Doc is willing to change, you know, to like, okay, if I'm going to survive, I've got to change that. And she's like, nah, here's a cigarette.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, she's kind of a villain.
Yep,
you know?
I understand your
Do we
point
see
there.
her after this? I don't think she's in the movie anymore.
No, I
after
think that's the last. I think that's the last scene.
Yeah, that's weird that it didn't like come back to that, because I don't really know what happened with them. Like I said, there was a real Kate, Big Nose Kate.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's that then. Maybe dumped her. I don't know. Maybe she got tuberculosis.
Yeah, because after that, then they're standing outside. The brothers are standing outside, and that's whenever you have the 6 cowboys ride into town.
Right. Yeah.
And
Hey,
that's
real quick,
whenever
isn't
he's
tuberculosis contagious?
Yes.
She should have it. I only know that because of Red Dead Redemption,
Yeah.
because I didn't know it was contagious until I
Yes.
got coughed on.
Yeah, whenever you go to jail, they give you a TB test
Huh. So she should
every
have it.
single time.
Well, if I ever need one, I'll just get arrested.
Every single time.
Most people don't go so many times.
Especially It doesn't matter if you went 3 times in 1 year. You're getting a TB test every single time.
How do they do a TB
They
test?
they inject this gump underneath your skin, and it lumps up, and then it doesn't hurt or anything. And then after so long, like it'll either, if you've got it, there'll be a reaction to it or whatever, and
Well, okay.
just stick it.
So if you want to get a TB test, just get tested. Go to jail. They'll test you every time.
Well, you have to go to general population.
Gen pop.
Not just staying the night. It's you got to be booked in and have
You gotta be committed.
you got to have a room booked and all that stuff. That's when we have the 6 cowboys come rolling into town. Wyatt gets sworn in, goes and grabs his peacemaker.
Yeah, and then of course Doc comes down there to join them, and again a thing I like a lot where he's like, and Doc looks like death warmed over.
He's like, how come? I've had 4 or 5 people come up and say that the McLowrys and the Clantons and the McLowrys are threatening us.
Yeah,
and so that's whenever he shows up. Yeah, he looks like hell.
Yeah, so bad. And then he's like, and then when Wyatt's like, Doc, this isn't your fight.
He looks so offended.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
Yeah, it's like he's hurt by that. He's like, no, you're my brother. Like,
Exactly.
He's
He's
like,
he's like, you don't know that we're brothers.
it's like this is my fight.
Yeah, and he's like, that's a thing for you to say to me.
Yep.
And it is true because like Doc's already was, he's willing to die to help Wyatt. Just like he came out and got his back outside with Curly.
Well, that's right after. Actually, we kind of jumped a little bit ahead because. Yeah, you have Doc come staggering in with Clanton and McLowry's, and that's whenever he yells at Virgil about, you're going to risk all this over a misdemeanor? And he says, damn right, I'll risk it. They're breaking the law. And that's whenever he turns to Doc and says, you don't have to mix up in this. And he says, that's a hell of a thing to say to me. It's like, dang. It's like, Doc's going.
Yeah, it's a big line. Though.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, Virgil. He's like, give him the street howitzer. Whatever.
It's like they won't be so jumpy if he's on it.
Yeah,
they know
or nervy or whatever. If Doc's on the
they know that he will use it.
Yeah, and nail them. Which coincidentally, like that's a 10 gauge double barrel that he has.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, why do you need a 10? 12 will do it, buddy. But it is. It's like it's got 3 triggers too. I don't know why.
Huh?
It just does. But anyway.
Yeah, so then you have the classic scene of the 4 of them walking down the street,
And for some reason, there's a random
building on
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
I don't know.
I was like, oh, the Cowboys are burning down.
Yeah, no, there's just one building on fire.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks awesome. It looks awesome. Don't know why. What's the point of it?
Hey, guys.
It's like, does anybody know there's a fire?
Y'all want to help them with that before you go gun some drunks down? Maybe protect the burning place, and they're just like no selling it. Like just don't look at it, pretend we don't see it. And then some kid almost gets
Dude, bang, 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 bang.
I would have shot him on basic principle.
It's like, get out of here. Doc's whistling as they're walking up. Then
Doc
you got go ahead.
I would say Doc is like the embodiment of death. You know what I'm saying? On 2 spectrums, like the fact that he's sick and dying, and the other that he almost draped in that black cloak and everything, like almost like he could be death, the character. The way he looks and
Coming
everything.
in to reap souls.
Yeah, and all sweaty and everything, man. Which that's like this Funko, which I'll probably do a Funko Pop Friday on this. Actually, this was the first Funko Pop Friday I ever did. But it was like 30 seconds long. That is from this scene. You see, and I love this pop so much. And I'll talk about that whenever I do that Funko Pop. But it's, even on the cover of this VHS, though, you see the sweat stains and everything. So important to the character that he's
constantly on fever and stuff.
Yeah, he's dying, man. He's dead, But like, so we get to the standoff at the most famous
you have
gun.
the sheriff runs up and says, you don't have to worry about it. I disarmed him.
Sure you did.
It's like, you did? Is what Virgil, he's like, you did? And he's like,
I didn't have no gun. Well,
is that when he says this?
No.
No, that's not when he says this is a town thing, is it?
No, I think it might be after.
It's later. Okay.
But so the shootout, the OK Corral, dude, we're talking about probably the most legendary, famous gunfight in cowboy lore. Like so many movies have been made about that. Which the honest gunfight, I don't think lasted more than a minute, if that. It was very short.
Yeah.
It was very short, very small area and whatnot. You know, but it's just funny because all my life hearing about we're gonna have it's gonna turn into the shootout, the OK Corral around here. It's like, oh, what's going on? It's like the OK Corral, but it's like it really wasn't that big of a thing that happened. I mean, it's important, but it was what, basically 8 guys, 7-8 guys, freaking.
Well, it's 6 of them 6 cowboys at the beginning. You got 4, the Earps and Doc, right? So you've got, do the math there. That's 10, and then you've got Barnes takes off right off the jump.
Right, yeah.
He takes off out the back, so now we're down to
Sensible.
9. And of course Ike has no weapons.
Right.
He still looks like crap, hung over as heck. He's
Yeah.
dunking his head in the water and stuff.
He instigated all this too.
Yeah, it's like, well, what did you expect to happen?
And also in the real shootout, the OK Crowd, that whole get to shooting, or because I didn't have a gun.
Yeah.
And the whole get to fighting or get to running or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, that really happened.
He's like, the fight's commenced. Get to fighting, or
Yeah, get to running. It's like, get out of here. But okay, so we get this standoff, this great standoff. And Virgil, also the cane looks cool in Virgil's hand.
Yeah.
That Doc gives him, because as soon as he says that, he's like, take the cane, give me the shotty. And so now they're all staring down. And apparently that was an improv thing with the when Val Kilmer decided to wink.
Yeah.
Like that was all just kind of improv thing
Yeah.
he decided to do.
yeah, but it works out so perfectly.
Yeah. Oh no, wonderful.
Because Wyatt's staring at him, and he sees Billy's face change
Right.
dramatically, and he recognizes right away this is happening.
Because that wink says, "I'm getting you."
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
like, you don't get out of this.
Yep.
Here we
It's
are.
like, remember, you're talking all that smack.
Right, so-
Remember me?
Yeah. So it's like, he's gonna kill me.
He's sober now. Looks
Yeah, it's
like
like-
ish, but
We're gonna have a gunfight, and Doc Holliday's aimed at me. The deadliest dude in Tombstone has got my number. I'm dead. Unless I can get the drop on him, which he's got the shot he pointed at you already.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And of course, at that, everybody starts shooting. Doc doesn't start shooting yet.
Nope.
This is, I'm gonna say, a little mess up in the movie though. So if you ever notice, Doc, when he does decide to shoot, he shoots the gun, then he shoots up in the air, makes the horse rear up, and then he shoots again. He fires the double barrel 3 times in a row.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it always stood out to me. Watch it again. I wanted to tell you that
You're
before.
right.
Because he takes a shot, then he shoots straight up, then he shoots again. That's some Ash Williams stuff right there with the double barrel. Sam Raimi, are you in the background directing this? Okay, you shoot the shotgun 5 times. What? You reloaded. What? Off camera.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, every cowboy except Ike gets shot.
Yeah, and I give her a gun. Goes, which there's that lady again. I forget her name. Whatever, that's in there getting her picture taken. Apparently there's a famous picture of her, and they're modeling it right there. Like that, if you look at the picture of her, it looks like they're taking that picture right
Oh,
there.
okay.
Just a cool little thing, cool little nod to realism, I guess.
Okay.
In a factual setting or something.
Okay.
So, yeah, they have the shootout.
It does kind of remind me of the photo booth or the photography studio in, I think it's part 2 of Red Dead.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I only went to that when I had to, but yeah,
Okay.
Red Dead Redemption. And
Yeah, watching that movie kind of had me itching, but it was like 11:30 or 11.
Yeah,
after,
when to
whenever,
play.
I don't know. Whenever I sent you that, did you see the text message
Yeah,
I sent you?
yeah.
That's whenever I finished.
I figured it
Yeah,
was.
that was exactly. I was done.
Yeah, I kind of been I just kind of been out of it the last few days,
Yeah.
like not like really talking. Well, I've been hanging out with the kids and
Yeah,
just
no, I
chilling,
understand. No, I
and
get
not
it.
drinking.
Yeah,
And,
no, I
it's
know. I'm proud of
boring.
you. Yeah,
Thanks,
I know.
man.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That's all right, man.
Yeah.
I got all my drinking in, so I
Yeah.
can kind of take a break from it now. I got ahead of the game. No, but watch it. But I'll tell you what, going back and watching Tombstone, like that's hard not to want to take a drink. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you just shake it off real quick, but
Yeah.
you're like they're just doing
Yeah.
shots and drinking beers. I'm like, yeah. And then knowing Ike's drinking real tequila, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, the whole time, every time they hit a cigarette, I
Oh.
understand. I start hitting my vape every single time they hit a cigarette. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that's sitting there. Oh
yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
oh,
you ever
yeah.
go? Sometimes you go back and watch movies from the '80s and stuff, and there's so much drinking and smoking in
Yeah.
them that you're just like, because that's not movies anymore. That has to
Right.
do with rating. Like
Yeah.
you can get a higher rating if you
Yes.
smoke cigarettes.
Yep.
Just whatever. I get it, but still, I can't even think of the last time I saw somebody just casually smoke a cigarette in a movie. Like I watched St. Elmo's Fire for the first time a couple years ago, and I was just like, "Dad, gum! All they do is drink and smoke. They constantly pouring shots, constantly lighting the cigarettes." And I'm like, "Well, it's just a movie then."
So you got Ike runs for cover.
Yeah, until
in the studio.
I love how he just busts his arm out the window.
He steals the sheriff's gun. Worthless. He is so useless. Absolutely useless. If it doesn't make him money, and that's the only reason he's sheriff is for the politics of it.
This is a guy that has politicked his way to
Oh,
where
yeah.
he's at now. He didn't want the job. He wants the title or whatever.
Yeah, I've got there. Ike steals the sheriff's gun. How useless is this guy? He shoots through a broken window. Doc appears to be out of bullets. And you got that guy. He's like, I got you now, you son of a bee.
You're a daisy if you do.
You're a daisy if you do.
Reportedly, Doc, that really happened. The guy really said that. Doc Holliday really said you're a daisy if you do.
So I had to look that up. I'm like, why in the what was the whole daisy thing about? And a daisy was like the like a fine. It's a representative of something that's fine and the best of, and so it's basically saying it's the best of.
Yeah, no,
something,
right on.
so.
And there is some slang in here that people need to
Yeah,
understand. And,
yeah.
But yeah, I've heard that it's like, well, that's a daisy, just like,
It
like
just means it's the best.
Yeah,
of.
that's
It's
a
the
daisy of a
finest-
watch,
Yeah, it's
you
the
know?
finest of whatever it is.
Right.
And so he's like, so, if you can kill me, then that means you're the best that's here, buddy.
Right, yeah.
Come on.
just like them referring to him as a lunger.
Yeah.
In a lunger, if anybody didn't know that, that's something that was
Has TB.
Yeah, he's a lunger. So that's derogatory when they say that to
Yes.
him. And there's probably some other words in there too. Well, okay, we're going to talk about a famous line. Well, it's coming up.
And so Doc shoots a dude in the shoulder. Morgan pops him in the head. And
Yes,
that's
Morgan gets his
finally
kill
kills somebody.
shot.
Yeah.
I love it though when Doc points his gun at it's like he knows he's out of bullets. He's like he just pulls the trigger anyway.
Yeah, but he's got another gun.
Yeah, I know, but it's not just the way he does it, almost
Yeah.
taunting.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm out. It's like,
I think it's just to kind of screw with the guy. Yeah. Yeah.
gotcha.
He's like, what do you think? Oh, shoot, I'm empty, huh? Well,
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
I got you now, Lunger. Yeah, Daisy, if you do.
Yeah, so that's then after it's all said and done, the sheriff, shows up to claim that you're all under arrest.
Now he's ready to arrest somebody.
Yeah, right. It's like, now you're going to do something.
You gonna
about
arrest
it, huh?
those guys?
Really? All right. I don't think I'm going to let you arrest us today, Biehn.
Also reported that Wyatt Earp really said that to the guy.
Oh, yeah?
After he did try to, he's like, I don't think I'm going to let you arrest us today.
I mean, really, what's he going to do?
These guys, you're talking about the baddest dudes in Tombstone.
Right? And you think the crowd's really going to stand by and be
Yeah.
like, arrest them? Yeah, okay.
Right,
You
yeah.
know? I don't know.
Maybe the Cowboys. That's like the people that say F the police are so quick to call the police.
Right. So Maddie shows up just in time to catch Wyatt and Josie making eyeballs.
The way you looked at it, okay, that's a reach,
Yeah.
but whatever. I guess. Why not? For the sake of the story.
But then a really good moment happens right after it all kind of starts to clear a little bit. You have this look between Wyatt and Doc, and it really says, okay, I understand. Like, there's this brotherhood thing there
Yeah.
because it's all said and done, and they just look at each other, and they don't say anything. It's just like, okay, it's like, all right, we got this. I
They're
got
the
your
only two-
back, you got my back. All right,
And they're the only two that didn't catch a bullet.
True.
That whole fight.
true.
Yeah. All right, that's probably a good place to wrap it
Yeah.
up, man.
Okay.
Okay, great, dude.
Excellent. Thank you guys for watching. Hey, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to catch all of our videos, you can either find us on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, or you can go directly to UncleSamPresents.com. That's Uncle with a K. Don't forget the K. It's very important. Otherwise, you're not going to find our stuff. I've been Uncle Sam,
Randomus Ninjamus.
and we will catch you on episode 3 of the Tombstone Scarecrow Hour edition.
Yes, but we're gonna wrap it up.
Hopefully.
But we got a whole nother episode. Peace.
Later.
Welcome everyone, Uncle Sam presents
Copyright
the
2025
Scarecrow Hour. Welcome
UNKOSamPresents.com.
welcome to the Scarecrow. Scarecrow Hour.
Email us if you wish to be a sponsor.
Random, the most random ninja. Uncle, who's your uncle?
Check out the rest of our
Scarecrow Hour, brought to you by Uncle Sam. This is the Scarecrow Hour.